Consider how easily moods can change when happiness is attached to external triggers. A kind word makes you glow, while a harsh comment instantly shatters your peace. A small win fills you with pride, yet a setback erases all your joy in a moment. This is not true happiness, it is dependency. And dependency is never freedom. Happiness in its truest form is independence of mind. It is the ability to remain centered, calm, and at peace even when the world outside is unstable. This truth can be both confronting and liberating. Confronting because it means no one else is responsible for your happiness. Not your partner, not your family, not your friends, not even your achievements. Liberating because it means you are never powerless, never truly lacking, never waiting for something outside yourself to make you whole. The key has always been in your own hands. When you recognize this truth, you begin to see that happiness is not a destination. It is not something you arrive at after a long journey or an endless effort. Happiness is a practice, a way of living, a lens through which you view every moment. You don't find it out there. You cultivate it in here. There will always be challenges, but happiness can coexist with them. There will always be uncertainties, but happiness can rise above them. There will always be imperfections, but happiness can shine through them. The truth about happiness is not that it eliminates pain or difficulty, but that it gives you the strength to face them without losing your light. You cannot control everything that happens in life, but you can always control how you respond. That response is the birthplace of happiness. In the space between stimulus and reaction, between what happens and how you interpret it, choose well in that space, and happiness will no longer be something you chase. It will be something negative thoughts are part of the human experience. They arise uninvited, often without warning, slipping into the mind like shadows. They whisper doubts, magnify fears, and replay regrets. They have a way of convincing you that they are true, when in reality they are only passing impressions, fragile and fleeting. To understand happiness, you must first understand this. Negative thoughts are not who you are. They are visitors. They come and go. The problem begins when you mistake those visitors for permanent residents. A single thought of worry can be replayed again and again until it feels heavy, solid, undeniable. A judgment about yourself can echo so loudly that it drowns out every other possibility. In truth, the thought itself is nothing but a spark, but your attention is what turns it into a fire. Thoughts gain power not because they are strong, but because you feed them with belief and repetition. Think of the mind as a sky. Every thought is a cloud, some light, some dark, some passing quickly, others lingering longer. No cloud can stain the sky. No matter how dark or stormy it becomes, the sky itself remains untouched, limitless and vast. In the same way, your thoughts do not define your essence. They drift across your awareness, but your true self remains far greater, far purer than any single thought that crosses it. Negativity often disguises itself as protection. The mind produces fearful scenarios to keep you safe, reminding you of failures to prevent repeat mistakes. While its intention may be survival, unchecked negativity distorts reality. It convinces you of dangers that may never come, of limitations that don't exist, of inadequacies that are not real. Left unchallenged, it builds walls where there should be doors. Another truth about negative thoughts is that they thrive in silence. The less you examine, the more convincing they become. If you simply accept every fearful voice, every critical whisper, you hand over your power. But the moment you bring awareness to them, when you pause and ask, is this true? Is this useful? Does this thought serve me? Their illusion begins to dissolve. Most negative thoughts cannot survive the light of awareness. It is also important to recognize that negative thinking is not permanent. Just as joy fades, so does sorrow. Just as excitement comes and goes, so does fear. The mistake is in believing that a negative thought or emotion will last forever. In reality, every thought is temporary. Every wave eventually crashes. Every storm eventually passes. Understanding this frees you from the need to fight your thoughts. You do not need to battle every fear, silence every criticism, or erase every doubt. The more you resist, the stronger they appear. Instead, observe them. Let them come, let them go. Watch them without attachment, without judgment. The less attention you give them, the weaker they become. The nature of negative thoughts is simple. They are fleeting, fragile, and powerless without your belief. The moment you see them for what they are, just passing clouds, you reclaim your strength. You no longer drown in the storm. You rise above it, knowing the sky has always been clear behind the clouds. Awareness is the foundation of freedom. Without awareness, you are carried away by every thought, trapped in every emotion, and controlled by every impulse. Without awareness, you live in reaction, not in choice. Life feels heavy, unpredictable, and chaotic because you believe every story your mind creates. But with awareness, everything changes. Awareness is the light that reveals truth, the anchor that grounds you in clarity, the key that unlocks control over your inner world. The mind is like a river. Thoughts, emotions, and sensations flow endlessly moment after moment. Most people are swept away by the current, dragged wherever the mind decides to go. But awareness is the ability to step back, to watch the river without being consumed by it. It is the realization that you are not the river, you are the observer of the river. You are not the storm, you are the sky that holds it. This shift may seem subtle, but it is revolutionary. When a negative thought appears, an unaware mind reacts automatically, believing it, amplifying it, and letting it dictate emotions and behavior. But when awareness is present, there is space. Space to pause, space to notice, space to choose. The thought may still arrive, but it no longer has the power to control. In that pause lies freedom. Awareness does not require effort in the way struggle does. It is not about wrestling with your thoughts or suppressing emotion. It is about turning on the light and seeing things as they are. Imagine entering a dark room where shadows look frightening, where every shape seems threatening. The moment you switch on the light, the fear disappears, not because you fought the shadow, but because you saw the truth. Awareness works the same way. It dissolves illusions. Through awareness, you begin to see patterns that were invisible before. You notice how certain situations trigger the same negative reactions. You recognize how certain words, memories, or environments ignite predictable thoughts. Once you see these patterns, you are no longer a victim of them. They lose their mystery, and with it, their control. Awareness also creates distance between you and your thoughts. Instead of saying, I am anxious, awareness allows you to say, I notice anxiety. Instead of I am angry, you shift to I see anger rising. This small change in language reflects a profound shift in perspective. You are no longer fused with the thought or emotion. You are observing it. And what you can observe, you can let go. This is why awareness is power. It does not eliminate negativity overnight, nor does it erase challenges, but it gives you mastery over how you experience them. It reminds you that thoughts are only thoughts, emotions are only emotions, and neither has to define who you are. With awareness, every moment becomes a choice. You are no longer a prisoner of your mind. You are its master. And when you master awareness, you unlock the ability to rise above negativity and create lasting happiness from within. Every situation carries two truths, the one that drags you down, the one that lifts you higher. Perspective is what determines which truth you see. The event itself is neutral. It is the meaning you assign to it that gives it power. Two people can live through the exact same moment, yet one sees despair while the other sees opportunity. The difference is not in the circumstance, but in the lens through which it is viewed. Perspective is not about denying pain or pretending everything is good when it isn't. It is about expanding your vision beyond the surface. A challenge may feel like punishment at first, but looked at differently, it can be preparation. A setback may feel like failure, yet from another angle, it is a redirection. Loss may seem like an ending, but within it is the seed of a new beginning. The way you interpret what happens to you shapes the experience more than the event itself ever could. Imagine holding a glass of water. To some, it is half empty. To others, it is half full. The water in the glass does not change, but your perspective does. And with it, your emotional state shifts. The same is true for every moment of life. Perspective either traps you in negativity or frees you to rise above it. The power of perspective lies in its ability to change suffering into strength. When you see difficulty as an enemy, it crushes you. When you see it as a teacher, it transforms you. The mind has the remarkable ability to turn wounds into wisdom, setbacks into stepping stones, and struggles into stories of resilience. But this only happens when you choose the higher perspective. Consider the growth of a seed. To the seed, being buried in the dark soil might feel like the end. Everything it knew, the sunlight, the air, the freedom is gone. But from a higher perspective, darkness is not a burial, it is a planting. The pressure, the soil, the hidden struggle, it is the very process that allows the seed to break open and grow into something far greater. Life often works the same way. What feels like an ending may actually be the beginning of transformation. Perspective is also the foundation of gratitude. When you shift your focus from what is missing to what remains, from what went wrong to what can still go right, the weight of negativity begins to lift. Gratitude does not change your circumstances. It changes the way you see them. And when your vision changes, so does your experience of life. The truth is, you cannot always control what happens, but you can always control the meaning you assign to it. You can decide whether a situation weakens you or strengthens you, whether it imprisons you or frees you. That decision lies in perspective. When you realize this, you no longer live as a victim of events. You live as a creator of meaning. And when you become the creator of meaning, every challenge, every setback, every moment of uncertainty becomes a doorway, leading not into despair, but into deeper strength, wisdom, and happiness. Negativity and gratitude cannot exist in the same space. The mind cannot hold despair and thankfulness with equal strength. One will always outweigh the other. Gratitude is the antidote, the medicine that dissolves negativity at its root. Where there is gratitude, fear loses its grip, doubt weakens, and resentment disappears. Gratitude does not change the outside world. It transforms the inside world. Often unhappiness comes from focusing on what is missing. The mind clings to what it lacks, replaying the things that didn't happen, the people who disappointed us, or the opportunities that slipped away. This obsession with absence blinds us to presence. It hides the simple truth that even in the midst of difficulty, something remains to be thankful for. Gratitude shifts the focus. Instead of "I don't have enough," it whispers, "I already have more than enough." Gratitude is not limited to great victories or extraordinary blessings. It lives in the ordinary, the breath in your lungs, the ground beneath your feet, the ability to think, to speak, to choose to begin again. When you start to notice the simple gifts, life becomes richer without anything outside needing to change. The small things are never truly small. They are the foundation of everything else. When negativity rises, gratitude breaks its pattern. Anger says, "A life is unfair." Gratitude replies, "I am still standing, and I have what I need to move forward." Fear says, "What if I lose everything?" Gratitude answers, "I already have so much to be thankful for right now." Regret says, "I should have done better." Gratitude responds, "I did enough, I learned, and I grew." In this way, gratitude is not passive. It is powerful. It is a force that reshapes the way you see every circumstance. Gratitude also creates resilience. When life tests you, a grateful heart finds strength in what remains instead of collapsing over what was lost. Where others see only endings, gratitude finds beginnings. It does not deny the pain, but it ensures the pain does not consume the whole picture. Gratitude is the reminder that even in the darkest night, there are still stars. Practicing gratitude is not about pretending that problems don't exist. It is about refusing to let problems be the only thing you see. It's about shifting focus from scarcity to abundance, from frustration to appreciation. The more you train your mind to see gratitude, the more natural it becomes. Negativity loses its grip because the mind no longer feeds it. Instead, it feeds on appreciation, on presence, on joy. A grateful person is not the one with the most, but the one who makes the most of what they have. Gratitude unlocks happiness not by adding more to life, but by awakening you to the richness that was already there. Negativity shrinks in the presence of gratitude. And when gratitude becomes your habit, happiness is no longer something you chase. It becomes something you embody. In the midst of chaos, the simplest act can bring you back to peace. The breath. Breathing is the bridge between body and mind, between chaos and calm. While thoughts can race uncontrollably and emotions may spiral, the breath is always here, steady, present, waiting to be used as an anchor. When you master your breath, you master your state. Notice how the breath changes with emotion. In moments of fear, it becomes shallow and fast. In moments of anger, it becomes sharp and heavy. In moments of peace, it slows, deepens, and softens. The mind and the breath are intertwined. When one changes, the other follows. This means that no matter how loud the mind becomes, you can quiet it by guiding the breath. One deep breath has the power to interrupt the storm of thoughts. Inhale slowly, deeply, with intention. Hold the breath for a moment, then release it gently. As the breath flows out, tension begins to dissolve. The shoulders drop, the heart slows, the racing mind steadies. You do not need hours of meditation or years of training to experience this. Just one conscious breath is enough to shift your state. Breathing also brings awareness into the present. Negativity often comes from being trapped in the past or worrying about the future. The breath, however, only exists in the now. Every inhale and every exhale reminds you that life is unfolding here. In this moment, not in the shadows of yesterday or the illusions of tomorrow. Breathing grounds you, pulling you out of the noise of thought and into the clarity of presence. The power of breath extends beyond calming the mind. It nourishes the body, delivering oxygen, awakening energy, and restoring balance. Stress creates tightness, but conscious breathing releases it. Fear locks the body, but slow breathing unlocks it. The mind is like a magnifying glass. Whatever you place beneath it grows larger and more powerful. Focus on problems, and problems multiply. Focus on opportunities, and opportunities expand. Focus on fear, and fear becomes overwhelming. Focus on gratitude and fills your heart with peace. Happiness is not determined by what happens to you. It is determined by what you choose to focus on. Every moment, countless possibilities exist within your awareness. Even in the most difficult situation, there is something to learn, something to appreciate, something that can make you stronger. But if your attention is consumed by what is wrong, you will miss what is right. Negativity thrives when focus is misplaced. It blinds you to blessing, blinds you to solutions, blinds you to the path forward. The moment you shift focus, the moment you look for light instead of shadow, the entire experience begins to transform. This choice of focus is not always easy. The mind is wired to look for danger, to seek out problems, to prepare for threats. It believes that by focusing on what could go wrong, it is keeping you safe. But safety is not the same as happiness. Survival is not the same as living. To break free, you must train the mind to balance its instinct for caution with a higher choice of perspective. Imagine holding a camera. If you focus on the weeds, the beauty of the garden disappears. If you focus on the storm clouds, you miss the rays of sunlight breaking through. The scene does not change, but what you see, and therefore what you feel, depends entirely on where you aim the lens. Life works the same way. The power is not in the scene itself, but in your focus. When you direct your focus towards solutions, challenges lose their power. Every problem carries within it the seed of an answer. But that answer can only be seen by the eyes that look for it. When you focus on strengths instead of weaknesses, your confidence grows. When you focus on progress instead of distance left to travel, motivation expands. When you focus on what is possible instead of what is impossible, doors appear where walls once stood. Focus is choice, and choice is freedom. You may not control every event, but you always control what you emphasize. The mind cannot fully attend to both despair and hope at the same time. One way will dominate. The decision of which one leads is yours. And here's the secret. Focus is like a muscle. The more you train it toward positivity, the stronger it becomes. At first, negativity may feel louder, heavier, harder to ignore. But each time you redirect your attention toward gratitude, toward possibility, toward solutions, you build strength. Over time, positivity becomes your natural focus, and happiness becomes your natural state. What you focus on expands. Focus on light, and light will grow. True happiness is not the absence of hardship. It is the strength to rise above it. Life was never meant to be free of challenges. Storms will come, losses will occur, and pain will visit every soul. Yet adversity is not an enemy, it is a teacher. A sculptor shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more unshakable than before. Resilience is the ability to face life's storms without losing your inner light. Adversity tests the depth of your happiness. Anyone can smile when life is smooth, when circumstances are favorable, when everything feels aligned. But it is in the difficult moments, in the valleys, in the struggles, in the nights that feel endless, that true happiness reveals its strength. Happiness that survives hardship is not fragile, it is forged. It is not a shallow feeling dependent on convenience, but a deep-rooted state that no storm can destroy. Resilience is not about avoiding pain or pretending it does not exist. It is about standing in the middle of it and choosing not to be consumed. It is about saying, yes, this hurts. Yes, this is difficult,